Hey guys, so it's a lovely, rainy, awful day here in Exeter. I'm currently at Snow's Toyota down in Marsh Barton. They are being kind enough to lend me a 2020 Toyota GR Supra for the day. So I'm going to go out for a few hours in that. It's not the best conditions. It is awfully wet outside. However, I should be used to the power it produces because it's very similar to my current M140i. So I'm just going to head on in and go and get the car, and then I'll join you guys in a sec. Okay, I am in the Supra. First impressions, it sounds a lot different. Now, granted, I am in sport, but that's pretty much how I drive my car. Obviously, all of the interior controls seem to be the same. One thing that's interesting also is that I do not have a rear windscreen wiper. Which is interesting in this weather because it is awful. I have no visibility over my right shoulder, which is also interesting. But as you can hear, it does sound good. It does sound very, very good. A lot different to mine. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of getting used to. It is really wet. I've got windscreen wipers on. I don't know if you can see out the back, but it is very wet. It is interesting not having visibility there in the kind of the blind spot area over my right shoulder. That's going to take some getting used to, I'm sure. Again, I'm looking over. I don't know why, because I can't see anything. A lot more of a growl, a lot more like a burbly growl from this exhaust. Now obviously this does have the active sound design feature that a lot of BMWs come with, so it does pump a little bit of fake engine noise through the speakers. So that's going to be you know, an example of how it's very different, because I've actually turned that off on mine. I've coded it out, however, you know, I don't have the ability to code this one out. Gear changes feel quite snappy. The paddles feel a lot different in terms of not necessarily the actual movement, but the actual feel of the shape of the paddles on the fingers. They are the newer style paddles, which I'm not really a fan of. I prefer mine because they have a little curve by the fingers, so there's a little bit more grip. So yeah, that's the initial impressions. I'm in sport, however, what I'm going to do is have the traction mode activated. So this should be the equivalent of Sport Plus. I've got my heated rear window on. Oh, that's interesting. So this has actually got a heads-up display, and obviously because I was close to the car in front, it beeped at me saying, you know, coming up on the windscreen saying that I'm really close to a car. But that's going to take some getting used to. This is spinny. Okay, so the back kicks out on this a hell of a lot more than mine. Yeah, that's very interesting. I think this is going to take some getting used to. Yeah, this is quick. So another thing that's interesting as well is this has got the older style what used to be the BMW M Sport steering wheel, albeit with a Toyota logo. Interestingly enough, the shape of it, is very, very similar. However, it's a lot thinner in diameter, so when you're gripping it, you can pretty much grip it all. Now, I've got relatively large hands and it's never really been an issue, but it's noticeably smaller. And again, I don't know whether or not that's a good thing just yet. I think it probably is, but it will just take some getting used to. So what I'm doing now is I've put traction back on, because it does seem like a bit of a handful, and I think that's traction off, and it's not like Sport Plus. Okay, so I'm just going to play around with the settings just to try and find the optimum suspension and traction setup. And I found it. This is yeah, a lot of a different car once you put the traction back on in these conditions. It is quite a handful. Such a shame that the weather is so bad, because obviously I'd give it a little bit more beans and get a better feeling of how this car actually performs, because it is miserable outside. Take some getting used to. Everything just seems that little bit more firmer, a little bit more focused. It's definitely providing a different feel to my M140i, albeit with the same engine and the same gearbox. I've been in manual all this time because that's pretty much how I like to drive anyway, which is quite ironic considering it's an automatic car, and I spend 95% of the time in manual. Okay, so one thing I've noticed, especially in this weather, and it's the really annoying thing, and it's a combination of two things. The first thing is the windscreen wipers going from left to right, which sweeps all the water over onto the right hand side of the car, the driver's side in this case. Now, when I open the window a smidgen to let some air in, you get soaked. Water comes in because the roof is very much like a convertible car would be. The roof is narrower than the actual door, yeah, I've just currently got one side of my leg just got loads of rainwater on, and the side of the door handle and all the switching and stuff is also wet, which isn't ideal. However, for the 2 weeks of the year where it doesn't rain here in the UK, we're good. Okay, so just stopped at one of my mate's houses just to show him this car, because he's into his cars as well. Essentially the boot is a pop release, however there is no handle, which is a bit bizarre, so you've got to lift it like that. However, there is a good size boot in the rear as well, which is pretty sweet, and you can see some cool retro speakers, bit boy racery, bit kind of max power, early 2000s. That's pretty swish as well. So, overall, I really like this car. I really, really like this car. It looks great in black, which I didn't expect. However, it being so wet outside, it means I can't really drive it how I want to drive it. But also, I think it would take some getting used to. I wouldn't throw this around anywhere near as much as I throw mine around, because it does feel quite different. It feels a lot more rigid. I don't know how it's going to behave in this weather. One thing that I've noticed, obviously, the seating position, the actual seats itself are super comfy, a really nice design as well. only gripe with this is that the seats don't actually go low enough. Now, I'm 6'2", granted, you know, I've got a fair bit of headroom there. However, I do like my seat a little bit lower, and it does feel a lot higher than my normal seating position in my own 140. So that's one thing that's a little bit of a downer. However, it's not the end of the world. Easy spinning in third gear, doing, you know, 50 miles an hour. Again, the wet weather is kind of literally putting a dampener on this drive. However, in the dry, I am sure that this is a very capable car. It does feel a touch quicker than mine. It's, you know, it's not unexpected because Toyota have tuned this one themselves, slightly more powerful than BMW, I believe, although that's nothing official as such. Overall, this is an amazing car. Really like this car. Super impressed, and I'd love to try it in the dry. So yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up here. Thank you for getting this far. Please like and subscribe, and also big thanks to Snows Toyota in Marsh Barton and Exeter for allowing me to test drive this, really, and just give it a bit of a thrash in this wonderful British autumn weather. So yeah, I will catch you guys soon. Cheers.